Welcome everybody to UFO Man Live number 26. I want to let the people on my panel introduce themselves. So we're going to start with Tommy Highway. Tommy?
Hello, folks. Thanks everybody for coming out. Really appreciate that. My name is Tommy Highway. I'm an author, a ufologist, network engineer. Basically got into the whole UFO community after having my own experiences, things that really blew my mind and things I couldn't explain. So wrote a couple books about it, and I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Jax?
Hi, my name is Jax. I'm from Paranormal Underworld. I love teaching people and doing investigations and showing people how to do things the proper way during an investigation.
What type of site do you have?
Paranormal Underworld on YouTube.
Yeah, right. So it's a paranormal investigative site, correct?
It's more the live panel at the moment, but it's going to be, that format's going to be changing.
Okay. Nicole?
Hello, I'm Nicole Stroud. I am a psychic medium with Through the Veil. I'm the lead investigator of paranormal phenomenon. I speak to ghosts, see ghosts. I'm pretty much a psychiatrist to the spirits.
And this is your first UFO live stream, correct?
Correct.
All righty. So welcome everyone on the panel and welcome everybody in the chat.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Okay, tonight we're going to discuss any updates that may have occurred in the last week or so in regards to disclosure ever since the Pentagon and the Office of Naval Intelligence came out with the quote-unquote statement that we have wreckage from off-world vehicles not made on Earth, which in effect said between the lines, hey, someone else made them off the Earth, so that maybe could be alien life. So that means they admitted to alien life. So I have a video to play in regards to that. And let's get this going here. Let's see here, share screen. Okay, here we go. What the heck? Hold on a second, guys.
This, I would be all
commercials. Sorry about that.
That smells really good. Smells like
First, the evidence is overwhelming that planet Earth is being visited by intelligently controlled extraterrestrial spacecraft. In other words, some UFOs, some, underline it 20 times, some UFOs are alien spacecraft. Most are not. I don't care about the ones that aren't. I'm a nuclear physicist. I don't care about the isotopes that aren't fissionable. Want to build a reactor? Use the one that is. Who cares about the rest? That's the first conclusion. Second, the subject of flying saucers represents a kind of cosmic Watergate. That is to say, some few people within major governments have known since at least 1947, when at least 2 crashed flying saucers were recovered with alien bodies in New Mexico, that indeed some UFOs are alien spacecraft. Notice I'm not saying everybody in government knows. That's not how you keep secrets. I worked under security for 14 years. Need to know is the important factor. The third conclusion is that none of the arguments made against the first two by a small group of noisy negativists, when I'm being polite, stand up under careful scrutiny. They sound great until you look at the data, and then all those anti-arguments collapse. And the fourth conclusion, because I'm such a shy, retiring kind of guy, is that this is the biggest story of the millennium. Visits to planet Earth by alien spacecraft, successful cover-up of the best data, bodies, and wreckage.
In Arizona, near Fort Huachuca, which is Army Intelligence Headquarters, there is a UGB underground base where one of our witnesses, who will testify, worked on 9 separate extraterrestrial vehicles that had been down through advanced electromagnetic pulse weapons. And there are several different species of extraterrestrial biologicals stored at that facility.
We know from our fancy telescopes that just in the last 2 years, more than 20 planets have been identified outside our solar system that seem to be far enough away from their suns and dense enough that they might be able to support some form of life. So it makes it increasingly less likely that we're alone.
How many species there might be that we've identified already, what the ships look like, the variety from the small foo-foo fighters up to allegedly motherships mile wide.
I think, looking at the sorts of interesting reports in these files, the ones from police officers, pilots, military personnel, the ones tracked on radar.
What I saw were lights. I saw three different things. I saw a glowing red eye-like ball that was dripping like molten metal that came toward us, that moved, it came into the forest, moved through the trees, missing the trees, obviously under control. The item moved back into the field and exploded and was gone. There were all three objects to the north in the sky that had multicolored lights that moved in synchronization as though they were doing a grid search. We watched them for quite a while and we saw two objects to the south. They were white, bright lights. We couldn't discern a shape. There was a shape, but I couldn't tell what it was. One came overhead at high speed, very high speed, 2,000 or 3,000 feet up, and sent down a laser-like beam at our feet. Just click, it was on. I stood there in awe, very concerned. Is it a weapon? Is it a warning? Is it communication? And as suddenly as it appeared, it disappeared.
These things that we were seeing and experiencing were real, and that they were being collected by not just grandma in the backyard shooting a camera and seeing some lights back there. This is by trained observers flying multi-million-dollar weapon platform systems, sometimes over U.S. cities. I mean, we trust to fight and win wars on our behalf, and they're telling you they're seeing something. They're seeing something that they don't know what it is.
He said, "You want to see it, sir?" I told him, "Yeah, let's go look." And I knew the sergeant, right? He was a master sergeant. I went back, and there was 5 crates there, like 5 or 6. I think it was 5. I lifted one up, and here's this body there and floating in fluid. And I looked at it about 10, 15 seconds, not much more than that. And I started to figure, what was that? First, I thought it was a child because it was small. Then I looked at this head and all, right away, and this was only happened in a matter of seconds. Then I put the end back down, and the head was different. The arms were spindly. The body, it was gray. So right at that moment, I figured, I don't know what this thing is. So like in the intelligence business, I just better put it in the back of my head here and wait till maybe in the future I get corroboration so I can evaluate what it is. And I did get one time a report that NSA was getting signals from space, which were not just space noise or or unscrambled or something you couldn't read. They were really very perfect and looked like something was guiding them. There was a real message, but we were never able to decode it. This was a very coordinated message. It wasn't space noise or jam or jumble mumble or anything like that, or just noise coming. It was a pattern. So the evaluation, maybe it might come from outer space, some beings, and I got that report when I was at the White House.
This is the biggest story of the millennium. Visits to planet Earth by alien spacecraft. Successful cover-up of the best data, bodies and wreckage.
It makes it increasingly less likely that we're alone.
Okay, what did you think about that, Jax? Sorry, Tommy.
I think I think he's dead on what he's saying.
Yeah, that was General Corso at the end. He had direct knowledge of the alien bodies from the Roswell crash. That's what he was talking about. Tommy, you were going to say something. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, I believe Philip Corso. I do believe him. I think that he doesn't really, I mean, as far as he got into the military and all the things, the clearances and everything that he had, this guy had nuclear clearances back. I mean, he looked like the first nuclear clearances. That's what he had. And for this guy to go out telling stories about UFOs, his military career like that, I'm just not going for it. I believe Philip Corso. I also believe, and I don't remember his name, but they were talking about the Rendlesham incident, that colonel or whatever before him. I don't remember his name, but I believe that guy too. I've heard that story, the Rendlesham Forest story, a million times. I've seen him tell the story a million times. I believe that guy as well. They experienced something. There's no question in my mind.
That was Halt, Commander Halt.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's it.
What do you think, Nicole?
Well, yeah, I'm just at a point. I mean, I really, believe everybody. I can't believe they're coming out with this just now. And where do we go from here? I mean, now the aliens exist.
The Pentagon has come out with a UFO response task force. It's called the UAPTF. Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. And what their goal is to do is to, when, say, for instance, Nicole, you have a UFO sighting outside your house, they have to respond within 6 months and get all the data and make it public within 6 months' time. That's what the UAPTF is going to do, supposedly. But what I wonder is, are they dangling a carrot in front of us, giving us a little bit of information and then diverting our attention while they hide the real facts again? So that's something I want to ask everybody. What do you think about that? I think they're going to hide it again.
Yeah, because there's a broad thing to think about there. I mean, yes, they are out there, and now you got to be really thinking about them actually being here. I mean, that's going to be different, like in a whole society kind of thing. That's a big broad spectrum to think about.
It forces the government to explain certain things like alien abduction, experimentation, things that are going to be very uncomfortable for the American government, or any government for that matter, to actually talk to their people about. What are they going to say? Oh yeah, well, back in the 50s we did make a deal so you could get the shit probed out of you, pardon me, or whatever. That's a very uncomfortable thing for especially the American government to deal with. The other thing is, you look at everything that's happened since 2016. Before 2016, I would have said, if you'd have come to me and said, Tommy, you think that the society's ready for disclosure? I'd have said, absolutely, yes, no question about it, no doubt in my mind. After the 2016 election, I've changed my opinion on that somewhat.
I would say after 2020, I've changed my opinion on
that too.
as well.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the chaos after the George Floyd incident in Minneapolis. If that's what's going to happen after that, can you imagine what's going to happen if aliens land on the White House lawn and walk out and meet the president? I mean, a lot of people are not going to be able to handle the fact that these huge ships that we're seeing on the Sea of Tranquility crater on the moon are actually going to land. There are reports that Dr. Stephen Greer and others who are in astronomy have actually, from some of the observatories throughout the United States, have actually witnessed large vehicles that are stationed in outer space in our galaxy. Now, I don't know necessarily if that is the case, but that is the comment. What do you think, Jax?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm blanking out. I have had a lot of stuff going on right now. What was the question?
I'm sorry. The question was, actually it was a comment. Dr. Stephen Greer made the comment recently that there are gigantic ships over a mile long that are stationed in our galaxy, not necessarily next to the Earth, but in our galaxy. So that would include the entire planetary galaxy of the Milky Way. So if they're seeing these gigantic structures, first off, my question is how do they identify them as ships? Secondly, if they identify them as ships, okay, what are they doing there? What do you think about that?
Well, okay. Fairly recently, the United States government was made the whole announcement and unveiled the flag for the secret space program, or whatever you want to call it. a bunch of us, of course, we can't prove it, but a bunch of us already kind of had a feeling that these things were already in place, that this whole Space Force is already there. So how do we know that these people like Dr. Stephen Greer isn't
Right.
mentioning that?
You say, how do we know if he isn't part of the disinformation process? We don't. The thing is how do we know that Elon Musk or Tom DeLonge or Luis Elizondo ain't part or isn't part of the disinformation process? We don't. But what we need to do is read between the lines to see a little bit of truth hidden within the BS that's out there.
Yep.
I personally believe that honestly, most people within the ufology community have believed for years, if not decades, that yes, we have been in contact with alien life. Whether it is what we perceive as alien life, a head, 2 arms, 2 legs, a torso, that may not necessarily be the case. I mean, I've heard stories from people where they have not seen what looks humanoid. They've seen things that aren't humanoid, things that look more like a praying mantis or other type of creatures. So what I'm going to say to you is, do they exist? And are we getting the correct information from the government? I'm not sure. What I'm going to say to you is this. I do believe that they're hanging a carrot in front of us, that they're showing us a little bit of information so that they can divert our attention. Because what is mainstream media doing right now? All the mainstream media, in fact, CNN came out with a report. In fact, I'm going to find it. If I can find it, I'll bring it up. But CNN came up with a report saying that aliens are real. Since when has CNN come out and said something like that? They toe the party line. They don't do that. So what's been happening is things have changed to where mainstream media is pushing a rhetoric. And the rhetoric is that aliens are real, UFOs are real. We've known about it for 70 plus years. The UFOs are way too fast. We can't catch them. We have difficulty reverse engineering them. We do have some technology, and yes, we have wreckage and bodies. But are you going to see them? I haven't seen any proof of any bodies. I haven't even seen the proof of the wreckage. I've just heard comments. So what I'm saying is the media telling us the truth? When have you, huh?
I was going to say that maybe they're just giving us little snippets or parrots, like you said, to ease us into this, so there's not a mass panic.
That could be.
I mean, look at the long run. I mean, when they supposedly released, now we were told a little bit off track, but I'm using it as an example. Look at when they released, which we were told it was supposed to be all of the JFK assassination documents.
Yeah, and they didn't do that.
Or 9/11 for that matter.
Exactly.
Right, and they didn't do it. No. From what I understand, the people that are supposed to release the information in regards to UFOs have not been fully briefed. And that would include Tom DeLonge. That would include Luis Elizondo. I mean, he knows more than most people because he was part of the investigative group that investigated it for a few years. I mean, ATIP, right? AATIP. But I can honestly tell you that I have talked to people that have said that they have not been fully briefed. So the full story on what is going on in regards to alien life and UFOs has not been given to people in the know that we are aware of.
Well, they keep everything else in the military and the government so damn compartmentalized. I mean, Why
Right.
would they keep this compartmentalized as well? I mean, this guy A over here has got this much of the puzzle, guy B's got this much of the puzzle, guy C, and that's how they do it. And then that's how they keep this thing so under wraps as they did. And that's why when Lazar came out with his claim, that's what kind of blew their whole little plan out of the water.
Right. So in regards to the government being compartmentalized and one hand not knowing what the other hand is doing, and that's the best way to keep something secret, are we actually being misled? I kind of think we're being misled. I mean, we're told, all right, we know UFOs exist, but we don't know if UFOs are alien because they haven't come out and said, yes, they're alien craft. They just say, hey, it's unidentified aerial vehicles, aerial phenomena, okay? But they don't come out and say, hey, this is an alien ship.
Well, why don't we roll into my my article here, and I'll read this to you. Let me see if I can share this.
Okay, take it away, Tommy. Go for it.
Okay, put on my screen and share screen. Okay. This is actually from Popular.
Hold on, Matt. It's not in there. I have to add it.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Now, if you look up here, folks, Popular Mechanics magazine of all places. Now, they're not exactly known for their political bias or bias of any kind, right? Everybody knows this. But this is the Pentagon has off-world vehicles not made on this earth. And this is the bombshell to the government. Once clandestine UFO program will reveal findings on unexplained materials and crashes. Now, Senator Harry Reid was real big into this. And I don't know if you guys remember him, but he's one of those senators that was in there for like a million years. And I don't really agree with his politics, to say the least. But I will say that I do agree with him on the fact that he was all about disclosure, okay? Let's give you some examples of some of the things that our actual fighter planes have taken photos of. I mean, do you know an aircraft that looks like that? Neither do I. I mean, they're just not around, right? We don't make stuff that looks like a friggin' spinning top. But
yeah, except for drones.
Well, maybe a drone, but a drone isn't going to be flying at supersonic speeds that an F-18 is going to have a hard time keeping up with, right?
Right, exactly.
I mean, most drones anyway. But anyway, for years, the U.S. government has repeatedly changed its tune regarding its official involvement with UFO research. As recently as February, a Pentagon spokesman told Popular Mechanics that while a government program did investigate unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, and other explained aerial phenomena for some time last decade, funding dried up in 2012. But when Popular Mechanics thoroughly investigated the covert program, multiple sources said that it's still ongoing to this day. Now a new report in the New York Times confirms those accounts. The government UFO unit currently resides in the Office of Naval Intelligence, where it deals with classified matters per the report, even though the unit itself isn't classified. So think about that. They're an unclassified unit that plays with classified material. And that's pretty interesting if you think about it. The Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force is meant to standardize collecting and reporting on sightings of UAVs and publicly divulge at least some of its findings twice a year, according to the Times, which I believe is what you were referring to earlier, Tim.
Yes.
But in June, the Senate committee report, in a June Senate committee report, I should say, the Senate authorized appropriations for fiscal year 2021 for the task force, supporting its efforts to reveal any links that unidentified area phenomenon have to adversarial foreign governments and that the threat that they pose to U.S. military assets and installations. So right there you go. They're cranking this thing back up again officially because they're concerned about the military and possible ramifications toward military installations.
Right.
So I think that's very interesting. I mean, if there was nothing to it, if there was nothing there, if there was no there, then why would they put any more money into this? I mean, like you said earlier, they've investigated the UFO phenomenon for decades, longer than any of us on this panel have been alive, I'm sure.
Right.
And now they're going to put some more money into it. So to me, as an average, just intelligent person, that tells me that there's something to it. But from the report, it says, and this is direct from the report, the committee remains concerned that there is no unified comprehensive process within the federal government for collecting and analyzing intelligence on unidentified aerial phenomenon, despite the potential threat. The committee understands that the relevant intelligence may be sensitive. Nevertheless, the committee finds that the information sharing and coordination across the intelligence community has been inconsistent, and this issue has lacked attention from the senior leaders. I mean, that's like one of those things. Why don't you tell us something we don't already know? I mean, obviously, that's like saying the sky is, blue, water is wet, and fire is hot. I mean, of course, they've kept us in the dark about this. Senator Marco Rubio, who of course is a current senator, who chairs the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, told a CBS affiliate in Florida that he's most interested to learn from the task force who's responsible for unidentified aircraft spotted over American military bases. Rubio said he hopes that the Chinese or Russians or some other adversary hasn't made some sort of technological leap that allows them to conduct this sort of activity. And I hope he's right, because that would be, if anybody's going to develop that type of technology, sure hope it has an American flag on it somewhere, right? Anyway, to me, and this is a quote from Rubio, to me, Rubio said, it's a national security risk and one that we should be looking into. While such UAVs may very well come from foreign adversaries, the other possibility, of course, is that we can't pinpoint their origins from anywhere on this planet. And that's where the New York Times report gets really interesting. Okay, this is where we go into how Harry Reid changes his tune here, okay? Because I think they got to Harry. As you know, that Harry, he retired several years ago, 3-4 years ago.
Right.
And he's been still been very adamant about the UFO thing for a while anyway. Harry Reid, the former Nevada senator who was instrumental in finding the original UFO program, told the Times that he believes that crashes of objects of unknown origin may have occurred and that retrieved materials should be studied. And this is from the article. After looking into this, this is Harry Reid's words, his first words anyway. After looking into this, I came to the conclusion that there were reports, some were substantive, some were not so substantive, that were actual materials that the government and the private sector had in their possession. Think about that. This is a senator that's on that's all these select committees and the intelligence committees and all that. This guy's seeing everything. And he comes out and he says that, hey, I'm convinced that there's materials out there. In other words, crash wreckage or whatever, right?
Right.
In an earlier version of the Times article, Reid believed crashes from other worlds had indeed occurred, and that the retrieved materials had been studied secretly for decades, often by aerospace companies under the government contracts. The Times has corrected Reid's account, and Reid has since clarified his statements in a tweet below. Popular Mechanics has updated this section, blah, blah, blah. And so Reid comes out, changes his tune here after he just went on record saying what he said, okay? And sometime later, he says, I have no knowledge and have never suggested that the federal government or any entity has unidentified flying objects or debris from other worlds. I have consistently said that we must stick to science, not fairy tales about little green men. What do you know? A politician talking out of both sides of their face.
Well, it's kind of like what happened to the New York Times report. The New York Times report was redacted not too long after it was put out concerning extraterrestrial craft being not of this earth.
Right after you and I reported on it.
Right after we did the live stream, they had to retract their whole article and say, no, we didn't mean that. It wasn't that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that surprises you?
Yeah, because you just laid some stuff like that out there by accident.
No, it doesn't surprise me. Go ahead, Jax.
Well, it's the same thing going back to Roswell in 1947.
Yep.
Right, exactly. It's like, we have a flying saucer on a ranch in Roswell. Oh no, we don't. It was a weather balloon. You can't tell me that people on a military base that launch weather balloons all the time didn't know the difference between a weather balloon and a saucer.
No possible way.
They knew.
And Jesse Marcel was actually in charge of that. So for him to make that mistake like they claimed, I'm not buying it.
No, I agree.
I'm not buying it either. In fact, there were too many people that testified to the fact, including General Corso in that last video I played, stating that they were alien bodies. So if it was a weather balloon, where'd the alien body come from? That's my point.
Because some people think, or what the government was trying to say was that they were using chimpanzees and it was the chimpanzees that burned up, re-entering the atmosphere.
They'd be able to identify a primate body, though. I
Right.
mean, you know,
Right.
And they wouldn't have a different shaped head
no,
from something that you can't recognize with long spindly, well, maybe long spindly arms, but they wouldn't have a gray pallor to their skin, even if they were burned.
One look at their,
it would be burned.
one look at their dental work, and you know that that's a primate. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, a high school kid could probably tell you that.
I mean, even though, I mean, you know, that I think it was like round 52, I believe, is when they started using chimpanzees.
Right. So it was after the fact. What I was going to say to you about that, Jax, was the body that was seen in the crate wasn't burned. So that, you know, deflates that theory about it being a burned chimpanzee, because it wasn't even burned. According to General Corso, it was intact, but it was laying in that fluid. So, and from what I understand, I watched a video in regards to the mortician that worked at Roswell, and he had to put that fluid in there, and it wasn't what we would use to preserve a body. It was something special to preserve, like a bio organism. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Something to do with a plant life kind of base organism to where they could preserve it. And that's why it was laying in that fluid. So it was different. And Corso knew right away. And that's why I put that testimony out, because people need to see the truth. And General Corso, rest in peace, honorable man, great military career, and he is telling the truth, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think, Jax?
Yeah, I do.
Or at least for what he saw to be the truth. I'm going to say that because, like Jax has told me several times, there are no experts in our field. There's no experts in the paranormal either. So we're relying on witness testimony and what we can get as actual evidence. And what my problem is I haven't seen the physical evidence. And I think that's what we need to see to verify this this issue. Even if I saw it in a video, I wouldn't be able to tell you that it's legit, because with CGI, you can fake almost anything. So, and if you have a good graphic artist like Nicole down the corner here, and I'm sure you could probably fake some UFO debris. So what I'm saying to you is I would have to see it hands-on.
I got a question.
Okay, Nicole, what's your question?
I know I hear, you know, you talking about green, gray, little men, whatever, coming from space, but have they ever looked into the microbiology? Maybe, you know, they're already here as things that we can't see that live within the plants and stuff like that.
That was brought up in our last live stream by one of our people in the chat. That was brought up. Let me see, who was that brought up by? Oh, Survivor Girl was here, and she brought up the idea that perhaps aliens could be the size of microbes and could be already invading the planet with viruses and such.
Yeah.
And that is a possibility, because we look at aliens as being like in the realm of our size, I guess. I've always thought, well, yeah, they got to be 3.5 feet tall. That's small, but not real small. I mean, we can still see them, right?
They're not microscopic.
Right. And then I've also heard of aliens that are supposedly 9 feet tall. So now whether they're alien, that's another question. Do they actually come from space? Jax, there is a theory, right, about aliens coming from different dimensions, and they may not be aliens. They just may be a different type of life form, correct?
Yes. In theory, yes.
Right. Could they, in theory, also interact with the paranormal realm?
It very well possibly be, yes.
So I've heard, and I don't know if anybody in the chat room has heard, I've heard that the UFOs encounter, not the UFOs, the aliens encountering our planet, some of them are of an energy base origin, and that they actually can travel through it. People think they're traveling through portals. I personally believe that they're traveling through like dimensions, like entering different frequencies, different levels of energy, and changing energy levels to where they travel. And if they are, I wonder if they're, I'm getting off track. What the energy beings are supposedly doing are interacting with spirits, supposedly in the paranormal realm, because spirits are composed of energy. Correct, Jax?
Correct.
And Nicole, what do you say to that?
Yep, you're correct on part of that as far as them being energy. Yes.
Have you ever seen anything of the extra planetary origin? Something that isn't a spirit, isn't considered demonic, maybe something else?
Actually, I have, but I don't know if anybody would believe me if I say, that fairies and goblins exist. But
okay, well, yeah, we can go there sometime. But I was thinking more along the lines of space beings or life forms.
well, that is a life form, but
yeah, oh, maybe they are space beings too. I don't know.
I mean, just because,
yeah.
I mean, just think of it this way. I mean, if it's energy, right?
Right.
And some of these, I mean, there's all kinds of different alien life forms. I mean, I believe in aliens, even though I've never seen one. But I mean, think about it logically, that how many planets, that are in
numbers
how
game.
many exactly, so it's like, if an alien was pure energy, I mean, would they even need a portal to come through?
You would think not. Yeah,
No.
you would think not. But then again, energy has mass. So maybe going through some type of energy portal assists them in traveling, is what I'm thinking. But I don't know. It's just kind of far-fetched. But anyways, I do have a video I want to play. It is retired Navy pilot David Fravor stated that UFOs being seen are not from China or Russia. A lot of people are thinking that, could it be technology from a foreign adversary against the United States? And this is not just general people in the population that are thinking this. People who are in the government are asking this question. So let's see if we can bring this up and get it going. So let's see here. All right, here we go. Hopefully we don't get a commercial. Shout out to Occams Razor in the live stream. He created this intro.
Commander David Fravor is a retired naval aviator who once saw something he could not explain, that science can't explain. We're honored to have him on tonight. Mr. Fravor, thanks so much for coming on. So tell us if you think this is being misinterpreted. According to the New York Times, the U.S. government has physical evidence of some sort of vehicle made not on this earth. Is it what it sounds like?
Well, it sounds that way to me, Tucker. I just, I never want to speculate what the government truly has, but I would say there's stuff out there. I mean, the four of us that chased the Tic Tac in 2004 have attested to it multiple times that what we saw exceeded anything that we had in our inventory, far superior to the airplanes that we were flying in at the time they were brand new. So I would say, yes, there's something out there. And hopefully the government does have stuff.
So when we spoke before about this, and you suggested that the object you saw that you chased, the Tic Tac, behaved in ways that challenged your understanding of aeronautics, of physics, and that you didn't think it was likely that that object belonged to a foreign military. Do you think the U.S. government has concluded that this is not Russia, China, or some other country?
I'm pretty sure of that, just by some of the phone calls that we have gotten, some of the people that we have talked to in the government, that they are unaware of what this is. And I think that ties directly with the East Coast sighting with the gimbal video. And I'd be willing to say, just because I'm in contact with a lot of these people, that there are more incidents that are starting to come out, that people are starting to report inside the government channels of things that they've seen. And I think you're seeing it from people in the past, because it always had that taboo to come out and talk about these things. You're not finding people from the past that are saying, hey, I saw this, I just was never told to report it, or when I did, I was told not to say anything.
Yeah.
So I think since 2017, the world is starting to change because of the publicity, because of the attention of the Senate and the Congress, because of people like Marco Rubio and the Intel Committee of telling the DOD, hey, I want to report. I think you're starting to see more and more of that. And I would say if the government does have stuff, and I don't know what they have, but if they do, I would think that, there's probably stuff. Diego Roswell was 73 years ago. If something did happen, because there's a lot of speculation that there was something other than a weather balloon, where's all that at?
Yeah.
I mean, if just by odds, something would be here.
So that raises the question of why all the secrecy? I mean, clearly the U.S. government has lied to the public for maybe 73 years. Why do you think?
Well, if we go back to like Project Blue Book and go, it was done, it really did two things. One, it investigated occurrences and sightings that people saw. The other one was it primarily was sent out to debunk, to prove that it wasn't, or to make excuses of why it wasn't. I don't know why. I think some of it was trying to capture that technology, but if something lands in your front yard, there's no reason to deny that it existed, or, or for the government to cover it up, because if it's not collected by some means that's going to question our national security or our offensive or defensive capabilities, then why would you hide it? That just baffles me. Just like our incident, why wasn't it thoroughly investigated at the time for something that literally could penetrate a battle group spaces, and they did nothing? I mean, there was nothing done until really about 2009.
There's a story here that a lot of us can't wait to see. But finally, do you feel vindicated?
I never, you could say that, but I never, most of the fellow aviators that know the group of us, we were never like chastised, or, you get ribbed, but it was never like you're crazy or anything like that.
Right.
But I know there are people that do have that fear of coming out saying, that it's going to ruin their career. And for me, it just wasn't that. It was never the case.
Right.
With us.
Well, that's the beauty of being a naval aviator. People take you seriously by definition.
Okay. That kind of showed you that it is not from a foreign adversary, at least. We know that. And this is coming from a fighter pilot who is directly responsible for those sightings back in 2000. I don't know. They were reported in 2017, but it was much earlier than that when they had the sightings off the USS Nimitz. So what I'm going to say here is, let's see here. What do you think about that, Tommy?
There's just so much. It's such a complex issue, and it just disgusts me that everybody has a small piece of this puzzle. I've said this before. We all get a small piece, and what we're doing here is we're trying to put those pieces together. That's why we're meeting here tonight,
right?
And I know the government has a lot more of those pieces. They have a lot more of those pieces, and I'm sure that they've put the entire puzzle together at this point. They're just not telling us about it.
Right.
Right. Jax?
Well, first of all, is like, if they couldn't get close enough to this thing to begin with, the Tic Tac video,
right,
or the Tic Tac craft, whatever you want to call it, how do they know it was 40 feet? For one,
yeah, that's exactly. Well, because when they target it with their targeting system, it can judge size, just like it can judge an airplane size.
It's doing an in-air scan, like is what it's doing, basically a 3D scan of it.
That's how it judged the size of the craft. Otherwise, it wouldn't know, of course. Yeah.
And for two, just to add on what Tommy was saying, is that we're here to put pieces together, but it's like, okay, where is the rest of the video?
Right.
There was supposed to be how many craft there at one time?
And we get a low def version of it too. The lowest def version possible is what they're showing us.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And they said there were over 200-300 craft flying, and all they showed. I think one of the video clips I saw two craft at the same time. One past the other one, but other than that, nothing. You're right, and they were low res. Yes, they were. I have a video called UFOs Too Advanced to Be from Earth. Luis Elizondo opens up on precursor to ATIP. They actually had an organization before ATIP, and this proves it.
How can I help you?
Oop.
E&H is here.
Sorry.
From our homes to yours, as your
Yep, here we go.
Humanity has faced two monumental questions since we first stood on 2 feet. Why are we here, and are we alone in the universe? Well, we may actually be closer to answering the latter.
Do you believe the UFOs exist?
We know that UFOs exist. This is not no longer an issue. The Navy itself has publicly acknowledged the fact that they exist. And Navy pilots, active duty pilots, have gone on the record in the New York Times acknowledging the fact that they exist. So the issue now is, why are they here? Where are they coming from? And what is the technology behind these devices that we're observing?
Are there indications that these unidentified flying objects are doing things that this world is not capable of?
There are indications, actually. The Nimitz incident, a famous example of this, which was well documented by multiple radars, multiple pilots in broad daylight. That vehicle demonstrated speeds in excess of 5,000 miles an hour. It was able to hover 50 feet above the ocean after descending from above 80,000 feet. So the pilots who are observing these craft are absolutely mystified, and that comes through clearly in their public statements.
Do you believe, based on your decade of serving in the U.S. government on this question, that the U.S. government has in its possession any material from one of these aircrafts?
I do, yes.
You think the U.S. government has debris from a UFO in its possession right now?
Unfortunately, Tucker, I really have to be careful of my NDA. I really can't go into a lot of more detail in that.
Okay.
But simply put, yes.
Do you think, have you ever had a hint that there's someone somewhere in government, in defense contractors, in some secret agency somewhere who has the answers, who's figured it out? You ever knock on a door and get it slammed in your face and don't
George,
ask again
I'm
kind of
going
a
to share something. I'm going to share something with you and well, frankly, the rest of America. I've never shared before. I'm not going to go into specifics, but not too long ago, I was brought up into a meeting on the Hill, and some individuals, and I won't say who I was speaking with, but I sat in a room, and there was a gentleman, older gentleman, sitting in the corner, and he didn't introduce himself. And I certainly wasn't going to ask who he was because I was being invited by some individuals to have a conversation at the classified level. And so I answered their questions. And then the individual came up and he introduced himself to me. And he said, look, I had your job. And I said, oh, really? From what perspective? Because I had a lot of jobs in the government. I wasn't quite sure what he meant. He said, no, I had your job. And I had your job with a particular service. I'm not going to mention what service it was. And he said, and I had your job back in the 80s. And that struck me. At that point, and he said it in front of other people, and those individuals somehow recognized or acknowledged and knew that, I mean, this guy was obviously very legitimate. He was having a classified discussion right now with myself and many other people. And They knew who he was. I didn't know who he was. So that tells me that there is at least some sense of legacy that this issue has percolated before and been on somebody's radar at very high levels. Now, I don't want to hypothesize any further than that because I don't know. I wasn't going to ask him any more details. I wasn't there to ask him questions. I was there for them to ask me questions. But it was very clear to me that ATIP was not the first of its kind effort, that there was an organized effort back in the 80s to do exactly this as well. Now, how far they got, I don't know, because what was told to me verbatim was, we didn't get as far as you guys. Now, I don't know necessarily what he meant by that. I don't know if he meant from a personnel perspective or having political support like we did with Harry Reid and Stevens and Inouye, or if he meant from a budgetary perspective, or if he meant from a findings perspective. I really don't know, George, but that was true, and there were witnesses to that meeting. So that tells me that there has been an interest by at least some folks in the government about this topic. Yeah. Well, the beauty about the truth, George, is that time is always on your side. The truth always comes out eventually. And I think the Department of Defense is now recognizing that obfuscation is not helpful anymore at this point. Too many people have been briefed on it. Too many people know the facts and the reality of what's going on. So I think that's why you see them kind of going silent right now. They were put in a corner where they had to basically acknowledge either the reality of these or get sued out of their minds. So they probably said, we better probably do the right thing here and just acknowledge it. Now, as far as other videos, unfortunately, I'm unable to discuss that. What I don't want to do inadvertently is say anything or do anything that jeopardizes any ongoing efforts by the current task force. I respect them and what they're doing. Just like when I was in ATIP, I wouldn't want anybody doing anything outside disruptive that could compromise my mission. So our hope here is that we can give this new effort enough, if you will, breadth and depth that they can maneuver and do what's necessary and hopefully continue to inform decision makers. And then hopefully as a result of that, then more videos and more evidence can be provided to the American people. Ultimately, I think that's one of the end goals, right? So everybody can sit down and have a conversation and say, okay, yeah, you're right. That's pretty compelling. Let's have a conversation on what this means to us as a country. And
yeah. The three videos that did come out, you did start that process. They were made public. They were very important to the New York Times story, ever seeing print. I imagine they're pretty persuasive to members of Congress who've seen them, and hopefully members of Congress have seen other ones that we can't talk about. But the three videos that are out, so there are still elements out in the UAP public who say, oh yeah, those are explained. They're not unidentified. They're easily identified. Gimbal is rotating glare. Tic Tac is a distant plane. Go Fast is just a slow-moving balloon. You can respond to each one of them if you want, but the general idea that...
I mean, George, if that's the case, we need to fire the entire Department of Defense and the intelligence community, because they came out for the record and they said they remain unidentified. Keep in mind that we spend billions of dollars each year developing technology that determines what something is. When you're flying in an airplane, it's not just the camera. You've got radar. You've got other sensor equipment that probably really can't go into a lot of detail, that tells you exactly what you're looking at. In some cases, what airbase it took off from. So when people say, "Oh, well, that's IR glare or a seagull or whatever nonsense that they want to put out," then that person should be, in my opinion, probably the new Secretary of Defense, because the entire Department of Defense, with all its resources and analytic capabilities, and, oh, by the way, the intelligence community on top of that, they couldn't figure it out. And this is the same organization that we are paying to identify should North Korea launch an ICBM against Los Angeles, and the same type of organization that we are entrusting to protect our national borders and to protect our citizens in our country, during the global war on terror. So if you think that, we have the ability to, forgive me here, but I get a little passionate about this. I mean, we have the ability to track somebody and surveil somebody for months and months and months and conduct a lethal strike, as you saw here recently with an individual in Iran. He was a senior general, and obviously we took him out. I think if we have that capability and we can't even identify a fuzzy glare on a gun camera, we've got huge problems. So I think people who say that are talking out of ignorance. They don't realize the resources and the assets we have available to us.
They think this is extraterrestrial, just to be totally blunt about it.
Or extra dimensional, something extra, let's put it that way.
It's not from this world.
Not from this world, and not from Elon Musk. You know, some people say maybe it's some secret billionaire somewhere. It's too advanced.
So it's too advanced. And you've heard Luis Elizondo talk about it now. And like he said, you'd have to fire the whole federal Bureau of Investigators that are looking into it. And I'm not talking about the FBI. I'm talking about the other group. But anyways, yeah, I thought that video was very important, needed to be shown. What do you think, Tommy, about that?
Well, I mean, it's just typical. Let's intimidate everybody that knows anything about it. You know, that just they're running the entire government playbook, and you know, comparing what we just saw in those videos from those F-18s to lens flare or you know a moth in the sky or something like that. It's just ridiculous. I mean, that equipment is so sensitive. It is, like he said, it's so designed to be so accurate, and it is accurate. That's what really ticks me off about the Tic Tac video, is that we're getting such a low def version of this. They're not showing us, because I mean, they got this thing cold. I mean, like high def 4K video, but we get some 56K version of, you know, of this just to appease the public, let's say. You know, it's ridiculous, man. It's a joke.
Right. I think so too. I think it's a lot of disinformation and diverting of our attention to take our mind off what's really happening. What do you think, Jax?
I agree with that, and especially where, you know, I think personally, I mean, there should be full disclosure. I mean, I don't know what they're waiting for, and you know, to say that the American people or even the world, but especially the American people, aren't ready for it. Well, last time I knew, the poll was that more than half of all Americans believe in alien life and or UFOs.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of belief. What I am suggesting is that people are not ready for a full-scale landing, multiple ships landing, coming from outer space and landing on the ground.
Yeah,
and a bunch of aliens.
where they live.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, what if that were to happen all over the Earth, all the way around the globe, and we had multiple landings? People would misinterpret it as an invasion.
Oh, goodness. Absolutely.
And there would be violence started from our side. We would be the aggressor, thinking that we need to protect ourselves. And then who knows if they would respond in kind? I would think they would.
What's that? Arrival?
Yeah, it was Arrival, but the one that I was thinking of was different, and I can't think of what it's called. But yeah, Arrival, when they all came and they had to learn to communicate with them. V was another weird one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But that goes into the realm of the belief of reptilians. That's what V was based on. And I guess that's one of the alien groups that are supposedly, allegedly real, that are either here or are visiting the planet from time to time. I do have one last little mini documentary. It's only 3 minutes, 12 seconds, so bear with me. I'm going to play this one, and then we're going to do a UFO video review and have everybody on the panel give their opinions. Okay? Here we go. This is called "So Aliens Are Real Now What? What Are Their Intentions?" What does the U.S. government know? And why does an extraterrestrial presence on this planet and interaction with the human population warrant such a classified approach? We are all trying as a unified community to find out the truth, which is, are aliens here? And are they involved with abductions of cattle and humans? Within the black programs of the U.S. government, this subject has become isolated and compartmentalized over the years. But the truth of the matter has been researched and disclosed by the likes of Linda Moulton Howe and other whistleblowers. We are being engaged as we might engage an animal. We are being hunted, tagged, and in some cases harvested for our soft tissues and blood. In some reports of UFO crashes, human and animal body parts have been seen on board the extraterrestrial vehicles. Are we being raised as a food source or just used for scientific experiments? In cattle, most ranchers insert an implant to keep track of their herd. This is being done on a wide scale with the human population as well. What can we do to stop this? The late Dr. Roger Lear spent his career removing alien implants, 17 in all. They all emitted a small electrical charge at normal body temperature of 98.6 Fahrenheit. Could these have been used as a form of alien GPS? And if we remove them, can we protect our population from being violated in such a physical manner? To this day, alleged alien abductions continue. Cattle are still being taken and excised. New complicated crop designs are appearing overnight, and sightings are on the rise. Can we protect ourselves? Maybe this is why President Trump created the Space Force, which already existed, by the way, as the secret space program. And Elon Musk at SpaceX installed the Starlink satellite array in low Earth orbit, not only for 5G access, but for orbital surveillance as well.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Okay. I have something to say about that. President Reagan, former President Reagan, was alluding to the fact that if we had an alien threat, we would bond together as a world and come together as one. Well, the problem with that is they have to create the threat. And there is a theory going around circles, ufology circles, of a false flag alien invasion. Okay, the military-industrial complex needs a threat to fight. We had the war on drugs, and then we had the war on terror, and now we have the George Floyd and the BLM and Antifa. And then after that, what are they going to use? And the theory is that they're going to turn to a false flag alien invasion using reverse engineered tech that the United States and other countries have, and then projecting an image with blue beam to make it look like alien ships. But actually, U.S. anti-gravity craft creating all the damage on the ground and making people clamor for government help. Help me. Running to the government and getting help from the government, and then letting them take over and take control. Then they can declare martial law, and boom, we have lost all our rights and liberties. So that video kind of insinuated that, and I wanted to know what your thoughts are. Everyone on the panel, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, everything is in the government's hands at this point. Okay, we hold none of the cards as citizens. We hold nothing. In fact, you can look at not just the UFO thing, but pretty much any other kind of vital information out there. I mean, the government controls what we see and what we hear, and it's no more prevalent than in the UFO realm. I mean, it is what it is. Those of us that know, those of us that have experienced exotic technology, trust me when I tell you, when you experience it, it's not like nothing else that you've ever experienced. It's completely different, and you know that it's not something from here. It wasn't built by humans, at least not in our date and time. I mean, it's
Right.
just, so the government likes to intimidate everybody. They've used the media for years to ridicule people that have come out with their stories, things of that nature. And
Right.
I think there's one positive thing here. If there is one positive thing that we can point to, it's the fact that people are no longer necessarily considered crackpots and crazy if they come out and disclose what their experiences.
Oh. Yeah,
So-
you are correct. In fact, that was part of the title of my live stream tonight. I actually have a report that came out over a police radio. And let me see if I can find it here. Here it is. That was released to the public when normally things like this would have been kept quiet. You never would have heard a UFO report coming from a police officer. They would have lost their job. In fact, a couple of years ago, Jax was there. I had a gentleman come on who claimed he was a sheriff's deputy. He had a sighting, and he was going to come on my live stream, and he was going to witness to it publicly. The night of the live stream, I got a message from him saying that he couldn't do it because he was threatened by his commanding officer that if he did it, he would lose his job and he'd never work again. So this is maybe just a simple report, but it did come over police radio, and I do want to play it. So here we go. It's the New York Police Department UFO report over a live audio feed recorded on August 4th, 2020. Here we go. It's short.
Hey, if you give me just 30 seconds, I'm going to show you
after
how thousands
that.
of people, just like you, are completely reinventing their entire...
Here we go.
At the Bronxville Parkway at Morris Park Avenue by the Bronx Zoo. There's a caller saying there's a low flying object that look like a UFO near the Bronxville Parkway and near the Bronx Zoo. Aviation base copy. What?
Aviation Base Central. That's a low-flying airplane?
They say some type of look like a UFO near the Bronxville Parkway. It's round. Its shape is round, low-flying aircraft, and black in color, blackish silver color.
So, black and silver color, low-flying object. Well, that could be anything. That could be a drone. But I had someone come on my video after I posted that, and they said that their wife and son called frantically to them from New York City on August 4th that they had seen a low-flying black and silver vehicle, and that his son drew a picture of it, and it looked like a fidget spinner. So a very large one. They said estimate, from people on the ground, how do you estimate size? But they were estimating it to be about 100 feet wide. So pretty big, yes. If it's a 100-foot fidget spinner, it's an awful big drone.
Yeah.
But you never know, though. Occam's saying the ball is falling as we speak. the magnetic field is weakening also. The capabilities they've had is disintegrating. They will do anything for control. And I believe that too many people are seeing objects in the sky. Too many people are using their phones now that they're home due to the COVID virus. They're out filming things. You know, they're looking up. They're paying attention. They're watching videos. They're reading the news articles. They're becoming more informed. They're not as naive as they used to be.
But that's been going on since the biblical times, though.
Sure.
Yes, but I think
Sure
even
has.
more so now that we have recording devices. Kind of like in your field of study, you have recording devices. So you're able to pick up things that may have been happening since ancient times, but you're able to record them. Whereas right now, what I'm trying to get at is with all the phones out there and with everybody out in their backyard, you know, getting out because they're sick of being under lockdown.
Yeah.
We're actually seeing things. Now, I had a friend of mine come up to me last night. She said she saw something in the sky that looked like a green light. It was in one corner, and then it would jump to the left and make like a triangle, you know? It'd go from one corner to the next and keep on revolving. And then all of a sudden it just flashed real bright and disappeared. And she saw that last night above her house, and that's only about 30 miles from here. So, like I said, people are seeing many more sightings. They're seeing unusual craft. And I think people are coming forward now because of the Pentagon and Office of Naval Intelligence report.
Hey, I was a government employee for years. I'm in IT. And when you're in IT, your employer or whoever you work for has to be able to count on you, your opinion. You have to be a stable human being, okay? And I had to keep my mouth shut working for the government and all that. And I really wanted to tell my stories. And when I finally got out into the private sector a couple of years ago, that's when I wrote my book, Strange Tales from the Highway. And you can go out to TommyHighway.com and find that if you like. But it takes a leap of faith and courage to be able to come out and tell your story. No, and it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're a homeless person or a senator. I mean, it takes an act of courage. And a lot of people are, I think, now starting to come around. They're starting to grow that, that courage, and they're starting to come forward. That's good.
Right. What do you think, Jax?
Well, I think honestly, I think with everything happening right now, and a lot of us are, staying home and out of work and everything. More people have more time to do stuff like this. So once everything gets back to normal, you're going to see a dip in a lot of videos being made and put up and whatnot.
Agreed.
Oh, sure, because people will be back to work.
Yep.
Things will be more normal. But I still think that people are less naive. I think they're learning now. They're learning that there is some credibility behind people saying, hey, I saw something in the night sky. That we're not some crackpot out in the swamps of Oklahoma somewhere, swamps in the south. Yeah, we are people with credible abilities of observation. I mean, Tommy and myself and yourself and Nicole and other people in the chat. We all have the capability of observing the night sky, and that's why I always say, keep on looking up. Okay, I have a video, which is a UFO video. I want to play. It's real short. It is a humorous look at a legitimate sighting. And this is where I'm going to lighten up the mood just a little bit and play you something I find quite entertaining. Here we go. This is a real UFO sighting, by the way. Here we go.
Look at that.
Wow.
Holy shit. What is that? I am. That's not plane. That is not an airplane. You see it? That is not a satellite, and that is not an airplane. I've never seen anything like that before. God.
Yeah, this was seen over Indian Lake. I thought the color was odd. Is pink.
Yeah, lavender kind of.
Almost gave me the impression, and this is from your neck of the woods, Tommy. This is Indian Lake, Ohio.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is that it might have been a drone because of the color, but I don't know. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, because the background looks pink also.
Yeah, the background by the tree. Yep.
Yeah, sure did.
Okay, here's one here I'm going to play. This is a UFO sighting video. Here we go. Oh, don't look at that. I'm kidding. All right, here we go.
Booby.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I'm not muted. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Nicole. Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's part 2 of the compilation series. Bottom left, Golden Diamond UFO passes by an airplane over St. Petersburg, Russia on March 14, 2020. Bottom right, counterclockwise spinning purple light seen above the ground over Pontiac, Michigan near 75 and Grange Hall Road at about 11:30 or 12 midnight. Upper left, purple pink UFO filmed over Indian Lake, Ohio on July 21st, 2020. Upper right, UFO with spinning energy field filmed over Tiruvallur, Kuruma, Vastu, India on April 10th, 2020. Lots of UFO activity going on, seems to be ramping up. Unknown as to why that is, make an assessment, and leave your comments below.
What am I seeing here? I don't know. Everybody. Oh my god, I'm so nervous. What's going on? Okay. What is that? It doesn't look the same on the recorder. What the fuck is that? What is that? What is that? Oh my goodness. 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 Lord, please. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm scared. I'm shaking right now. And I'm scared. Because this is fucking crazy. What is this, please? Oh my god, I can't keep my camera still. Okay, what is this? What is that? What is that? Oh my goodness. 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 Lord, please. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm scared. I'm shaking right now. And I'm scared. Because this is fucking crazy. What is this, please? Oh my god, I can't keep my camera still. Okay, what is this? What is that? What is that? Oh my goodness. 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 Lord, please. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm scared. I'm checking right now.
I'm thinking bad thoughts, Tim. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, that's what somebody told me before. They thought it sounded like a porn, but in fact, one of my viewers on my channel was playing that video, and his wife told him to turn down the porn. He said, "I'm not watching porn. I'm watching a UFO video." Yeah. So, anyways, that lady was just nuts. Anyways, that is the reaction of some people, though.
This is why they don't want to tell us.
Yeah. Right. When you experience something like that, it's up close. There is no, you can almost have a response for just about everything that you can think of at age 30. Okay. You can almost have that much going on, but when you see it all that's out the window, man. This is a completely exotic experience that you're having. That's the best way I can describe it.
Robert Schumann said, I saw 2 orange orbs flying in Lexington, Kentucky back in 2010. It was like they were looking for something. I looked on MUFON like a day later, and someone else reported it as well.
Yeah, you need to go out to Strange Tales. Go out to my website and buy my book, The Orange Orbs. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I saw some orange, amber colored, rectangular shaped objects as well. So they are out there. Just have to be very careful on whether they're actually UFOs or whether they're Chinese lanterns. You got to research the two so you can know the difference. I have one more UFO video, and then I think what we're going to do is take final comments and go from there. Okay, here we go. This one's called UFO Sightings Worldwide, Alien Human Project. I say in the video that I have 16 clips, but that's a I misspoke. It's actually 13, so here we go.
Pretty Diva 15 millimeters wide jaw opening, oversized stainless
you
steel
need a nail clipper. There you go.
cutter trimmer with nail file for thick nails, extra large fingernail toenail clippers for men.
Come on.
Made of top quality.
There we go. Hey guys, it's UFO Man. I got a 16 video compilation for you. Only 13. Here we go. Top left, Skinwalker Ranch cylinder, April 23rd, 2020. Top right, disc over Angleton, Texas, on May 16th, 2019. Bottom left, orb UFO, laser pointed over Big Bear Lake, California. Bottom right, red light over Tupelo, Mississippi. It's interesting how that orb tries to evade the laser. Top left, Gabice, Mogilno County, Poland. Orb UFO accepts smaller vehicle. Top right, angular disc UFO spotted over Saint Michel, France on 7/11/2020. Bottom left is a large black disc UFO which is sitting over Eastern Europe on July 11th, 2020. Bottom right is multiple lights flashing up against a mountainside in Zurich, Switzerland. Top left, massive multi-lit UFO passes over the Statue of Liberty outside New York City on April 5th, 2020. Possible TR-3B. Top right, we have 3 fast-moving triangular UFOs that pass over the Baltic Sea in December of 2019. On the bottom left, we have an expanding disc-shaped UFO filmed on Easter Sunday over Renton, Washington. Bottom right, UFOs appear and disappear over Terre Haute, Indiana on May 1st, 2020. Again, top right, lights, UFO or UFOs filmed over Baltimore, Maryland. Could they be lights from a saucer on edge? Unknown at this time. Top left, we have a throwback UFO sighting over Cantabria, Spain on 4/25/2004. Check it out. Top right is a daylight UFO sighting spotted over the United Kingdom around April 24th, 2020. Bottom left is a crystalline UFO filmed over Paris, France on 7/12/2019. Bottom right are flashing bright red, white, and yellow lights UFO filmed over Valparaiso, Brazil on July 25th, 2019. Multiple witnesses to a repeating pattern of lights with no sound recorded. Fireworks were ruled out. Hey guys, if you like the video, hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, okay, that is my UFO video review. I know it was kind of difficult to watch 4 screens at one time, but that way I was able to get more videos in a short period of time for everyone to watch. Final comments from the group on the panel. What say you, Tommy?
Well, obviously this is happening. They're obviously here. We obviously are not alone in the universe. I mean, the government has actually kicked out a soft disclosure at this point, which means everybody, all the media sources actually backtracked on it after they reported it. But this is happening. This is real. And like Jax was saying earlier to pull on what he said, I mean, we have infinitesimal amount of planets out there, apparently. We're detecting more and more of them all the time. And we're the only intelligent, if you can call us intelligent, beings in the universe. Come on.
Yeah. What do you think, Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing more and more. I mean, even in this area, there's been more sightings and news reports, I've been seeing online. So, I mean, if we're here, there's got to be, other life out there somewhere. It's just, are we going to accept that? How are we going to accept it?
Right. What do you think?
I think they've been here. I think they've always been here. since the beginning of time, and all you got to do is just keep your eyes to the skies, and you'll see one for yourself.
Right. Eventually, most people will if you watch the skies on a regular basis. In fact, I never saw them much when I was younger until I was a young adult. Then I started seeing them because I started watching the sky. So Jax is correct. Some people see them automatically. I don't have that talent, but I do see them, and I have photographed them. And maybe in future videos, I will bring those photographs out and people can take a look at them. Anyways, I want to thank everybody on my panel. Tommy from Tommy Highway TV, Jax from Paranormal Underworld, and Nicole from Through the Veil Paranormal. I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I want to thank everyone in the chat room for coming and for asking your questions. And we hope that you will come again soon and join us for another journey into disclosure and any updates we can find. That is our goal. We want to find out anything and everything we can for ourselves and for you. So everyone take care and have a good evening.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.